Aside from being super keen to learn how to whip up easy and delicious Sichuanese food, here are some of the other reasons my beta students gave for signing up for the Sichuanese food course that you are now taking. Feeling anxious about not knowing the characters on a Chinese menu. Getting hit in the face by 1,000 different menu items and giving up. Visiting a restaurant and rolling the menu dice, therefore courting disaster. And boy, do I get it. I get menu anxiety every single time I sit down at a restaurant, regardless of what language that menu happens to be in. In this lesson, I'll be walking you through the top 15 Sichuanese dishes to try the next time you visit a Sichuan restaurant. And some of these will actually be making in this course as well, so you can have it whenever you want. Now, by the end of this video, you'll never be daunted by a Sichuanese menu again. And don't worry about taking notes. I've put all of the dishes that I'm talking about into a handy dandy cheat sheet with pinyins, and you can download that in the info section below this video. So sit back, grab a drink, grab a snack, and let's get started. Dish number 1, Dandam mian, or Dandam. So Dandam or Dandam is a dish you'll likely find on the menu of any Sichuan restaurant in the West. In Sichuan, Dandam is considered more of a street snack, albeit a very famous one. So Dandan or Da isn't actually a taste at all. So it refers to the bamboo shoulder poles upon which vendors actually carried their noodles and various sauces and ingredients along the streets of Old Chengdu. And as they would walk, they would call Dandam, and folks would come gathering just like kids gather around an ice cream truck for a cheap and substantial meal. Nowadays, however, Dandam refers to this one specific dish, which looks plain at first, but the real treasure lies beneath. So make sure to mix it well and let the noodles soak up this extraordinary sauce that is at once spicy and numbing and also threaded through with some sesame oil and a dash of vinegar and sugar. Dish number 2, Chengdu wontons in dry chili sauce, or 干拌抄手 gebet cao ser. Wontons in Sichuanese, they're called cao ser or chao shou, and that literally means crossed arms. And the key to these Chengdu wontons or cao ser is the skin, which is very thin and plump and juicy and gives you this slide in your mouth, silky mouthfeel. And you'll really know that you've gotten an authentic dish if the cao ser are delicately scrunched up after boiling and slide into the mouth like silk. And of course, all of this is drizzled with a delicious sauce reddened with chili oil, and we will be learning how to make this chili oil in week 4. Dish number 3, 夫妻肺片 or 夫妻肺片, which is husband and wife lung slice. Similar to Dandam or Dandam, 夫妻肺片 or 夫妻肺片 used to be a cheap and tasty street snack. The story goes that street vendors would buy cheap discarded cuts of beef offal from local halal restaurants, and they would drizzle and toss all of this in a mala sauce with crunchy nuts and celery. And this dish is actually called 夫妻肺片 or husband and wife lung slice because it was perfected by a husband and wife chef business partner duo in 1930s Chengdu. And they made and marketed it so well that the dish was renamed in their honor. That being said, the name 夫妻肺片 or husband and wife lung slice is a little bit of a misnomer. And so even though lung or 肺片 is in the name, there is actually usually no beef lung in the mix. This mix-up is likely the result of a decades-long game of telephone, where originally it was called 夫妻肺片, and here the 肺片 means discarded slice. But this sounds exactly like 肺片, which also means lung slice. So as the years went on, one was replaced by the other, and now we have 夫妻肺片, husband and wife lung slice.
夫妻肺片 lots of peanuts, 好多花生，再加一点香菜，有嚼头，非常好吃。
Dish number 4, 蒜泥白肉 蒜泥 basil, or garlicky pork with cucumber. In this dish, the pork is usually sliced very, very thin and placed on a bed of cucumber, and then drizzled with garlic paste and a little bit of chili oil, and is a perfect summer dish. This restaurant has it pre-rolled, but usually it comes all flat, and a skilled diner would be able to pick up a piece of pork, a piece of cucumber, sort of swoop it and wrap it around in their chopsticks and pop it into their mouths. Dish number 5, 青椒皮蛋, 青椒皮蛋, or preserved eggs, also known as 1,000-year-old eggs with green pepper. Yep, so here this dish, the restaurant calls it 烧椒皮蛋, or fried pepper with 1,000-year-old eggs. And so the version my family makes, so this is warm right now, but the version my family makes is a liang cai, so it's another cold appetizer, but with the same ingredients. So I mostly ordered this to talk about what these eggs actually are. So definitely not 1,000 years old, nor are they rotten, which is what my dad's old host family thought when he came to the U.S. as a postdoc. So usually these eggs are made out of duck eggs, and how they're made is they're not cooked, they're chemically cooked or cured. And so usually the duck egg is wrapped in a mixture of lime, salt, and a little bit of mud, and then the process denatures the protein, which is what creates the color change. So I actually think they're very beautiful. The whites kind of turn this lovely amber color, and then the yolk is really rich and creamy. It's so good. Dish number 6, 回锅肉, twice cooked pork, or 回锅肉. This is a classic and a staple on Sichuan restaurant menus, whether it's in the West or in Sichuan. And 回锅肉 literally means back to the pot meat. This dish likely first came about because succulent cuts of pork would be cooked and then laid out on ancestral altars as offerings to the departed. Afterwards, the family would slice it up and, because waste not, fry it up with savory seasonings, spring green onions, leeks, or peppers. And it is incredibly satisfying and very hearty. Dish number 7, full steamed pork belly with preserved veggies. This is a heavenly dish that offers a bit of a respite from heat. And this is one of those confusing dishes to order sometimes because it goes by 2 commonly known names. One is 咸烧白 or 黑烧白, which literally means salt-cooked white pork, or you can also see it on restaurant menus as 梅菜扣肉 or 梅菜扣肉, aka preserved veggies blanketed by pork belly. Very descriptive names, because when it's made right, the fat and lean nature of the pork belly, which is kind of strutted, melts in the mouth and perfectly complements the sharp saltiness of the preserved veggies. Dish number 8, 重庆辣子鸡, or sometimes just listed as 辣子鸡, so Chongqing chicken with chilies. This dish is not as scary as it sometimes looks. The mountain of dried chilies in this dish are actually there to lend fragrance and a gentle heat to the cooking oil, which then flavors the chicken. These succulent morsels of lightly fried chicken are kind of picked out under chilies, like you're digging for treasure. When you succeed in your treasure hunting, pop it into your mouth with a mouthful of rice, and so good. Dish number 9, and I kind of cheated here. This is 2 dishes, so this is 水煮牛肉, 水煮牛肉, and 水煮鱼, 水煮鱼. Both of these dishes are perfect for a cold winter's night, and I'm talking about them together because their story is interlinked. So I'll talk about 水煮牛肉 or 水煮牛肉 first because it's the originating dish, and it originally was invented in Zigong, or the salt capital of Sichuan. This dish is said to have been invented actually by the miners who worked the oxen, who drove the wind machinery down into the salt mines. And when the oxen died, the miners would be able to buy their meat for cheap, slice it up, boil it with whatever was around, which was ginger, Sichuan peppercorn, chilies, etc., and obviously top quality salt from the mines. And so for 水煮鱼, it's the exact same concept, but I like the texture of the fish a little bit more, and I think it soaks up the sauce a little better. Dish number 10, 宫保鸡丁, 宫保鸡丁, or more commonly recognized by its English name, Kung Pao Chicken. Several different regions actually lay claim to the invention of this dish, including Guizhou, Shandong, and Sichuan. Suffice to say, everyone wants a piece of it, and for good reason. Stir-fried with peanuts and cashews, and is really succulent and satisfying. Dish 11, 鱼香茄子, 鱼香茄子, or fish fragrant eggplant. This is my top vegetarian dish recommendation, and note, no fish appears anywhere in this recipe. The fish fragrant, or yuxiang in the name, actually refers to the seasoning blend. So this particular blend of aromatics was historically used to mask the fishiness, or yuxingwar, of fish dishes. And now it has been adapted to other non-fish ingredients, but the name fish fragrant, or yuxiang, has stuck. Dish number 12, 干煸四季豆 or 干煸四季豆, dry fried green beans. This is one of my favorite vegetable dishes. So these 干煸green beans are deep fried rather than roasted or cooked or boiled. So they come out of the wok kind of wrinkly, savory, and delicious. So this dish is often topped with a little bit of ground pork, but the pork is very much a garnish and not a core part of the dish. So you can also skip that and ask for a vegetarian or vegan option. 没有肉的 option. Number 13, fancier 炒蛋 or fancier 炒蛋, tomato and egg stir fry. This is actually a dish we'll be making together, and it is very much the epitome of home cooking or 家常菜 flavor profile. Dish number 14, mapo tofu or mapo tofu. So this is really the star of the show, and this is the first dish I will order as a bellwether to kind of gauge whether or not I'm going to like a Sichuan restaurant. This dish has a story behind it, which I will actually let Linda from week 4 tell you. So the story is that back in the late 19th century, there was an old woman, Chen Mapo, or Old Mother Chen, who co-ran this restaurant / tavern in Chengdu. And it was a poppin' spot because Chen Mapo's tofu was the bomb. Also, apparently she had a rather pockmarked visage, so her signature dish went down in history as mapo, or pockmarked granny's tofu. Anyway, mapo tofu is classically made with ground beef, although you can also make it with ground pork, or no meat at all, because the vegan-vegetarian version is just as succulent and mouth-watering. But I am actually kind of cheating with dish number 15 because it is not a specific dish, but a category of food. So 火锅干锅 or 麻辣烫. So in Sichuanese, that would be 火锅干锅 or 麻辣香锅 and 麻辣烫. I would be remiss if I did a Sichuanese food course and at least didn't mention this. If you've never had it before, all you need to know is for 火锅 and 干锅, they're very, very social meals where often there is this communal broth pot in the center. Larger restaurants will have a division, so you can have 2 different types of broth, and basically it's a free-for-all. You order any of the ingredients that you want to eat and see cooked, and put it into the spicy fondue pot, and then take it out. It's the end of our Sichuan food tour. So if you were lucky enough to have a Sichuan restaurant near you, I would definitely pay them a visit, preferably with a large group of friends, and order some or all of these dishes, family style. That way everyone can try a little bit of everything. Happy eating, and I will see you in week 2, where we begin to set up our kitchen. 好，再见。